Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet X News. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel, September 18th, 2017. Listen folks, once again, I find a very strange anomaly, and this is dealing with a current situation with our sun. Now, there was a shockwave that was sent across the entire backside of the sun, the part of the sun right now that is not Earth-facing. And what you're viewing right now is the stereo ahead Core 2 imaging from the stereo spacecraft. And I showed this to you yesterday because I saw another anomaly, which we were able to prove was an overlay in the imaging, basically a fake UFO. And that was to divert your attention away from what is really happening. Now, I was waiting for a lot of this information to update over the past 8 hours, and it has. And once again, I find things to be kind of out of place. And I'm going to go over this information because I also made another very strange discovery. It's also dealing with what seems to be a real spacecraft. Something that, it's not overlaid, such as what I'm going to show you right here. So we'll just go over what I was showing yesterday, and I'm going to go ahead and just back this up just a bit. And you're going to find this very odd, very strange. Now, this is the object that I was talking about yesterday in my video. And listen folks, this is not supposed to be in the image. And yesterday I showed you very clearly in the video there were one or two spheres that were moving directly towards the sun. And this massive CME, coronal mass ejection, then occurred. But that's not the real story. We're going to go over here to the C2 coronagraph, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the explosion once again that occurred on the back side of the sun. And ladies and gentlemen, this was a very violent shock wave that occurred on the back side of the sun. This was actually listed as 2 coronal mass ejections, and they were very close together. So whenever I'm investigating these coronal mass ejections, I have to wait for some of the other information to update so I can get a closer look at it and try to get the data. Now, as you're looking at this C2 coronagraph, you're going to see the first initial explosion, and then simultaneously, boom, you'll see the next one, which was actually a little bit smaller. Okay, so now that we've reviewed the C2 coronagraph, we're going to go ahead and step over here to another view of the sun. And this is the stereo ahead extreme ultraviolet light. This is 195 angstroms. I want you to watch very carefully in this area. You're going to see the shock wave just move directly across the corona. I'll move my cursor, but it will come from this massive sunspot. And you'll see the first shock wave ripple across the surface, the coronal surface of the sun, and then you'll see the next one. So while I was watching this, I noticed something very strange pop up right over here. And ladies and gentlemen, listen, I have been watching these images for so long. And yes, sometimes you do see some things that just don't add up. So that's why you research. That's why you investigate. So, as I was watching this ripple just travel directly across the backside of the sun, and then I saw an object appear right about here. Now, I'm not even going to try to stop that because I already have still photographs of this. But before we get into that, I want to show you something. Okay, now this is the cactus, and this is another coronagraph. And this is going to show a different view of this coronal mass ejection. Now, this goes very, very fast. This all occurred yesterday at approximately 11 a.m. UTC time. Now, you're looking at this gray image and you're saying to yourself, okay, Scott, what's the big deal? Well, here's the big deal. I'm going to move the slider. Okay, here we go. Now this slider down here at the bottom, it goes in such large time increments and it goes very, very fast. So sometimes it's hard to catch things. So now we are at exactly 12 noon on the 17th of September, UTC time. And this is what I see. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this portion of the video to analyze these coronal mass ejections, it goes so fast, very, very hard to slow down. You would almost have to download the imaging, put it into a video editor, and slow it down as much as you possibly can. So, what is this? What is this? You know, folks, I've been looking at this coronagraph and all of the other imaging, again, for so many years. And now all of a sudden, I'm seeing all of these very, very strange anomalies. And yes, I'm a Planet X investigator and researcher, and this is what I do. And when I see things like this, it really makes me wonder. And I'm just simply calling it the second sun. Because, ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what it looks like to me. That is visible light. Whatever that object is clearly off in the distance behind the sun. I don't know the exact size of it, but yesterday, whenever I was showing you the fake UFO footage on the stereo imaging, and the times and the dates all coincide. I'm not using different dates. These are all the same dates on all of the instruments. So we were watching a strange UFO fake object over here. At the same time, there were one or two objects moving inward towards the sun from here to here. And then you see the coronal mass ejections on the back side of the sun, the shock wave moving across the coronal surface of the sun. What I just showed you with the big green sun. And then this imaging comes out this morning, and I'm investigating it. And this is the first frame that I see, and to me, this just doesn't make any sense. So, is this part of the explosion? I don't think so, because I have watched literally thousands of coronal mass ejections over the years, and I have never, ever seen anything like this. Perfectly spherical and just before the violent eruption. Now, I'm going to go ahead and move the slider forward just a little bit. Now remember, this is a lot of time we're going through here. Bear with me. And there we go. There's your coronal mass ejection. 48 minutes later on the timestamp down below. Now I apologize, the timestamp below is kind of obscured by the little slider here. You just can't get away with it disappearing when you're using it. So we go back and forth. So this object appears at high noon, and then 48 minutes later we have this. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a massive explosion on the backside of the sun. thank God, truly thank God, that this was not Earth-facing. We would be having some very, very big problems right now. And we are going to see some repercussions from this explosion. Now, the planet Jupiter is directly in line with this coronal mass ejection on the backside of the sun. How long it will take for this energy to make its way to Saturn and Jupiter, well, it should be there by now. But it really makes you wonder, what is this? What is this? And I'm going to simply call it our second sun. The Nibiru sun, the Planet X sun. I don't think it's an anomaly, folks. I just don't think that. I've watched these coronagraphs. I've analyzed them entirely too much for a very long time. I know what I'm looking at. And I'm not looking at a photographic anomaly on this coronagraph. It's going to capture visible light. Does a CME start out as a perfect sphere? No, it does not. It's an explosion. It is a massive eruption. And 48 minutes later, on the time scale, we end up with this. A massive shock wave. I'm going to be investigating this a little bit further here today. I advise all of you, pay very close attention and stay tuned to the Nibiru channel and my Planet X News channel. You know, we try very, very hard to break this subject matter wide open. And I think we have. Over the course of the last 6 months, we've come up with some pretty wild discoveries. Now, we've gone over this information. I've showed you the possibilities of our so-called second sun. Very, very strange. And as you move forward in this, you're going to see that's just very strange. And then it appears again. And I'm moving forward. And there it is again. And there is the remnants of this coronal mass ejection. A little over 2 hours later. Still venting. Okay, so now that we've covered this information, let me show you going back to this imaging. Now remember, I told you I saw something very, very strange up here in the outer corona of the sun. Very strange. So I decided to, investigate that a little bit, and I wanted to see exactly what that was. So here is the wide view of the photograph that I took. So we're going to go ahead and just move out of this. And I'm going to show you this photograph. So when I was looking at that wide view, the one that I just showed you, let's go ahead and open this up a little bit. And I told you I saw an object right over here. It blinked by very, very quickly, but it was large enough for me to catch out of the corner of my eye. So let's zoom in. Let's see what this is. Now that's about as far as I could zoom into it. So I started thinking to myself, what in the hell is that? It doesn't look like a planet, a star. Certainly doesn't look like our Planet X or our Nibiru. But it looks like a legitimate spacecraft of some kind. It actually has what looks like a slight dome right there. It's two different colors. The backside is kind of darker. This area is kind of darker. And it actually has a square 90-degree angle structure on it. I mean, it looks like a real spacecraft, not one of the fake NASA overlays in the stereo imaging. And I thought this was very, very odd. I've never seen anything like that. Now, some people will say, oh, that's just a JPEG artifact. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Let's zoom into it again. I mean, to me, it actually looks like some type of craft. You can see right over here, there's what seems to be some type of an appendage coming off of the craft. It obviously has somewhat of a square, rectangular structure that steps up. And the two different colors of this darker grayish area here, almost like a charcoal gray, kind of a white area, even though it's blended in green from the extreme ultraviolet camera on the stereo craft. But it's very odd. Very, very odd. I think I have one more picture that and this is a close-up. And this, I just did a little bit of touching up on the color so I can try to bring it out a little bit more so I can show you guys what is that. Boy, that really makes you wonder, doesn't it? You know, I'm a firm believer in UFOs and extraterrestrials, and I truly believe that there is other life out there, much more intelligent than we are. But whenever you see something like this, it really gets your mind going. And what was this object doing there? It wasn't there for very long. One frame. But it clearly looks like, I don't want to say a man-made object, because I don't believe that our technology will allow us to have a craft that close to the sun without it melting, burning up, and exploding. But this does truly make you wonder when you look at the different colorations and the shape of the object. I wish I had a high-definition photograph of this, because now my mind is really wondering. You know, not only do I go and find the possibilities of this second sun using NASA's imaging, their own tools, the massive Shockwave that just traveled almost halfway across the back surface of the sun. And then as I further my investigation, what do I find? What seems to be a pretty massive unidentified flying object out there near the sun. Is it ours? Is it extraterrestrial? What is it doing there? You know, once again, folks, I find a lot of odd things here and there during my research and my investigations into Planet X. And I've seen some really weird things over the years. This one right here takes the cake. Feel free to take some screenshots of this, put it on your Facebook pages, tweet it out to your friends and family members. Show people. See what they think. I'm going to have some of these photographs up on the Planet X Researcher website. The link is in the description box under the video. But once again, major shock wave, 2 massive coronal mass ejections, a fake UFO produced by NASA, and then this morning, we come up with something that actually looks like a real craft. So much going on in the world. So much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching Planet X News and the Nibiru channel. And once again, folks, make sure you are subscribed. Set your notifications. Keep yourself completely updated. Thank you for watching.